Hi everyone and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve. You can find me as Dramatic Knits on Ravelry and Leading Men Fiber Arts on Instagram. Today is Monday, May 16th. Pardon the dog sneezes. 2022, this is episode 390. Leave it to the point when I hit record that he decides he's going to kind of burp and sneeze and... Anyway, how have you all been? It's been about a month since I've sat down and recorded and chatted with you all. I hope you all have been doing well. I hope you are acclimating to the warmer weather if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. We had a heat wave here in Central Illinois last week, and now it's just beautiful in the high 70s, 80s. It was in the 90s with a heat index in the hundreds last week. Lots of humidity. Stayed in the air conditioning as much as possible, but it has dropped out just a little bit. So anyway, gonna be a quick episode, but I have a few things to show you and some things that I finished. And I finished last night and I decided why not record today rather than wait another week. So here we are. We have been everywhere in the last month, hence why I have not recorded. We were in... where were we, first of all? I can't remember. We were in Indiana for the fiber event in Greencastle, Indiana. And that was a good event. It was cold. I was very cold. Did I mention I was cold? They did make an announcement that this year was going to be their last event. However, rumor has it that by the end of the show, somebody had stepped up to take over the event. So fingers crossed, there will be a fiber event 2023, but we'll have to wait and see. The following week, we drove out to Loveland, Colorado, which was a lovely 15-hour drive each way. It was a good event, and we were happy to be there, happy to be back at the event. We do plan on attending in 2023. It was kind of up in the air for a little bit, but we do have plans and we've signed our contract to come back. Then the following week, we went to the first ever Midwest Fiber Festival, which was in St. Louis, Missouri, and that was a fabulous event. So many yarn enthusiasts, and was just a wonderfully put on event. It was at the community college, and we've already signed on to come back next year. So we're excited for that. And then finally, last weekend, we were in Lake Elmo, Minnesota, and we were at Shepherd's Harvest, which is always Mother's Day weekend. So another good event. It was beautiful on the Saturday. Sunday, it was cold again. And when you're in unheated concrete metal buildings, your feet just absorb that cold from the concrete, and it could be warmer outside, but it's still cold in the building. So just have to learn to bundle up. But we did the smart thing, and we only drove a few hours on Sunday night, stopped and got a hotel, and drove the rest Monday. So we stopped at Wisconsin Dells, and nothing fabulous. We had some very, very not good noodles and company. I will say the last few times I've eaten there, it has not been great, but this was just, they were very understaffed and not good service, and the food was not cooked all the way both times I got it, because Andy was nice enough and had them redo it for me, but they still didn't cook the noodles. So alas, it was fine. So now we're just we had this weekend off. It was our first day off yesterday in a month, and I mowed the backyard and did some laundry. That was about it. I should have done more around the house, but alas, I wanted to relax. But I didn't take a nap, and that's unheard of on my days off. But we hit the ground running, dyeing more yarn today, and ran to the grocery store, and here I am. So I'm going to chit chat with you all for a little bit, get this posted, and I'm going to relax with my evening. But yeah, so that's been a month in the last, I don't know. Anyway, lost my train of thought. All right, so let's jump into the knitting. What have I finished? What's taking a bow? So first up, let me show you the first thing I finished. I finished this yesterday while watching Netflix. This is the Zombie Beach shawl. It is not a pattern. It's just a basic garter stitch triangular shawl where I increased on the edges and the center on every right side row and every wrong side row. I just knit. Super simple. This is 3 half skeins of Lavender Loon Yarn Company in her 75-25 superwash merino nylon in the Zombie Beach gradient. This was a goodie bag yarn that I received at the Zombie Knitpocalypse a couple of years ago, and so it went through 3 shades of this brown with speckling, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So it's 150 grams of yarn. It is not blocked. I am going to block it, but I did not have time to block it and sit down and record. So you can see the first half here. I then kind of striped in to the second skein, striped in into the third, and bound off. And I used almost all the yarn. So relaxing knit. This was knit on a size 6 US, which is a 4mm. Nice squishy garter stitch. I was working on this across from Sam of Lavender Loon at Shepherd's Harvest. So it was kind of fun. She's like, oh, I haven't seen it knit up. So there you go. Really enjoyed it. I think 150 grams gives you a nice size shawl without being too big, but yet not just a shawlette. So yeah, it'll grow nicely, I'm sure, once I block it. So that's done, finished. Some stash out of the cubbies. Don't worry, I have plenty to show you that's going to be added to the cubbies. So I was not the best boy over the last few weeks in terms of watching my stash acquisitions. And then last but not least, this took me a little longer than I would have liked, just because I took more brain power than I wanted to use most nights because of the cabling. But this is the Tied Knots hat by Justina Lokauska. And this is knit using Yakagani Yarns Highlands DK in the blueberry colorway. You can see the cable motif there. And this was knit on a size 3 and 5 US, which is a 3.25 and 3.75 millimeter needle. And it is her tweed DK, so it's got the little neps in it, Donegal neps. So yeah, I think the color shows off the cabling pretty well, and not dissatisfied with it. So yeah, it was an enjoyable knit. I'm glad to have it done. It fits. It'll probably be on the charity table at the Knitting at the Estate retreat, which is the retreat that we, Leading Men Fiber Arts, hosts in Monticello, Illinois in September every year. We are sold out of on-site spots, but we do have about 8 off-site spots available for that retreat. So if you're interested, you can check out knittingattheestate.com, and it has all the information, including the teachers, the vendors, sponsors, as things come in for door prizes and goodie bag items will be listed on the website as well. And if you're interested in attending, you can sign up there. On-site or off-site gets everything included other than your lodging, and there are 2 hotels within a 10-minute drive, or you could do what a lot of people are doing and get a nice Airbnb. So yeah, these 2 are done. They get to go back to the studio to get washed and blocked tomorrow. Excuse me. So let me show you what I've been working on these last few weeks as well. I'm not going to show you my crocheted blanket because I maybe added 1 or 2 stripes to it. Nothing exciting, but I did make some progress on 2 other things. I'm almost done with my Crossroads socks. These are knit using Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn in the Crossroads colorway, which looks like this. I'm done with the main color. I finished the first sock, and I have picked up for my afterthought heel on the second sock. So here's the second one. Toe is done, and I've taken out the waist yarn and it's ready to go. This is what I'm going to work on tonight and probably finish these up. The Cuff Heel and Toe is Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper Mini Skein in the Darkest Hour colorway. These are going to be for Andy. I do knit my socks on 2 circulars using a size 1 2.25 millimeter needle. And I do about 10 rounds of a 2x2 rib on 72 stitches. Then I do about 70 more rounds for a total of 80 rounds down the leg. I put in waist yarn for my Forethought Afterthought heel. I do another 80 rounds down the foot, and then I do a rounded toe. And then I essentially do another rounded toe for the Afterthought heel, except I do pick up 2 extra stitches in the corners to help mitigate any holes you can get. And if I start seeing holes, I'll even pick up from the row below as I'm going around to kind of tighten those up. And I do 4 plain rounds before I start decreasing on my heel. So those are going right along. I'll have those done. I need to pick out my next self-striping socks. I haven't done that yet, but that'll be coming up here soon, probably tonight or tomorrow. And then the other thing I've worked on is a knit along we're doing at our store. It's our Create and Collaborate Club. We meet every 2 weeks. Unless there's scheduling conflicts like there was last week, which is perfectly fine. Here is the Maritimo Tea. It is by Caitlin Hunter. And it has this feather and fan lace detail on the body and a little bit on the sleeves. Her gauge is much bigger than anybody who's knitting it. But alas, I'm still working on it. So I'm using 3 colors of Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper. I'm using Notorious, which is the body color. Then I'm using Raspberry Parfait, which is the lace, and Fortune Teller, which is the stripes. So, and you can see a little bit here, I did not alternate skeins, and I kind of left it in there. I didn't for a little bit, and then I started alternating again. Here's where I'm at. I've split for the sleeve, and I'm doing the back portion now. And then I will shape it and then pick up and do the front portion, which is down here. So this is going along. And we're excited to be working on it. And we do have the pattern in the shop currently, which you can purchase. It's a printed pattern that comes with a download code on Ravelry. So it will be mailed to you, and then you can download it from there. And I'm sure we will have kits of this together once I get the actual top done. That's, by the way, being knit on a size 2 and 3 US, which is a 2.75 and a 3.25 millimeter needle. Excuse me. All right. So that's all that I'm currently working on. I am going to cast on here in the next day or two a new item. There we go. I'm going to be casting on the Mendia cowl by Amba O'Brien. I did use my random number generator on my stash, and I had picked out yarn that I had purchased, I think at Stitches Salt Lake a couple of moons ago. And it takes 2 skeins of DK weight for this cowl. And I don't know if you can see there, it's got a bit of a eyelet texture pattern on there. And I am going to be using 2 skeins of Western Sky Knits in, what does she call this? Let me get the ball band. Western Sky Knits, Tweed DK. This is 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal Nep, 230 yards per skein. And this does not have a colorway name, but I got 2 skeins of it. It's like a charcoal gray with hints of like a bronze underneath or a gold. So I am going to alternate these 2 skeins because I've learned from my lesson, and I'm going to do as I say, not as I sometimes do. So yeah, I'm using more Tweed DK. I don't have much of it in my stash, but this is what got pulled. So I'm going to knit it up and use it and have another thing out of the stash and call it good. So that's what's in rehearsal. Behind the scenes, what am I spinning? I'm still working on some Honeygold Acres merino in the gradient C12. It goes from a blue into a green into a magenta, and I'm currently in the blue-green area where those meld. So working on it little bit by little bit, but I've kind of not been home a whole lot to do side crafting. So you're going to see that in just a second here. So I don't have anything to show you with that. I'm spinning it as a single all the way through, and then I'm going to chain ply it to keep the gradient effect. All right, moving on. In the scene shop, what else have I been crafting? I have been cross-stitching a little bit, but I'll show you my project progress. This is the Modern Folk Embroidery 2021 stitch-along called Fruits of Plenty, and I'm stitching this 2/1 on 32 count Tyco Belfast linen, using 2 shades of blue DMC. This was the February section. I finished January and I'm in the March. So it's going. And then I did a little bit, and very little bit, of my Fox in the Moonlight latch hook kit. This is from Hirschner's. And we're getting more of the moon in the background. I finished off like 2 squares over here. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. You can see the tip of his nose as he's looking over his shoulder. There's the whole thing. And yeah, so there's that. All right. Let's keep moving. In the spotlight, what am I watching and reading? So nothing really reading. So much we've watched, I can't even remember. To be honest with you, I wrote down 2 things and I know I've watched like 50 things. So some shows of note, Julia, which is on HBO Max. This is about Julia Child and the fruition of her PBS cooking show. And it was so good. The actress, the first 5-10 minutes, I was like, ugh, it's not Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep did so good. And then she warms your heart and she does such a good job. David Hyde Pierce plays her husband. The cast of characters are just really good. And it's just a really good feel-good show. So highly recommend that. And then the other night we watched Spider-Man No Way Home. So good. Cannot tell you. It was very, very, very good. Everyone had said it was really good, and we had spent the last couple months watching the first 2 because we had never seen the Tom Holland Spider-Mans. So we got caught up, and then we watched that and enjoyed it. But like I said, everything else that we've watched, I can't even remember. So, yeah. All right, stash enhancement. I have done some stash enhancement. So first up, let me show you. I got a kit while we were at Interweave Yarn Fest in Loveland, Colorado. This was a new company to me called Vortex Yarns. And they had a kit for the Misa wrap, which is designed by Expression Fiber Arts. They're another indie dyer. But they had kitted this up. It's a big wrap with a bunch of beads and different stitches. And it comes with 5 skeins of their merino bamboo. It is 60% merino, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon. Each skein is 434 yards. And then it comes with a great deal of beads to put in there as well. So one day, but I liked it and I saw it in person. And I said, well, if it's still there at the end of the show, and there were a few, so I picked it up. All right, then when we were at the fiber event in Greencastle, Indiana, we were vending right next to our friends Joanna and Bill of Knit Spin Farm, and I always pick up a skein of yarn from her because that's like the only thing she vends at, and I don't know if she's going to do much more vending. So sometimes occasionally throughout the year I'll pick up a skein on her website with an update, but I picked up this actually for myself for what I liked. On this base, the pink looked more peachy rather than pinky. And this is on her Corriedale sock, which is 75% superwash Corriedale, 25% nylon, 115 grams, 434 yards. This one is No Boundaries by Princess Snugabunch. And this is from her Barnyard Collaborations. It is even stripes of an earthy rainbow for a goat who fences will not hold. So I liked that one, so I picked that one up. And then lo and behold, the next day, Andy came over and he's chit-chatting with Bill, and Bill wants a skein of our yarn and Andy wants a skein of their yarn. So he picked up a skein of their Targhee fingering, which is 90% superwash Targhee, 10% nylon, 115 grams, 466 yards. This is in the colorway Scotchy Scotch Sock. Thick stripe of Sky of Isle of Sky, thin stripes of malted barley, charred oak barrel, empty bottle, and 16-year-old malt. So this is the one that Andy chose. This is the one that I chose. I went home a happy boy. All right. Then when we were down in St. Louis at the first ever Midwest Fiber Festival, I got to meet the lovely couple behind Fresh Lotus Design, and they had beautiful hand-spun yarn and dyed yarn, as well as a lot of different spinning fibers. And I had not seen fiber with visco neps in it, and I was like, yes please, I'm gonna try it. And they had two different kinds, so I got one of each. The first one I picked up has black and white neps in it, and this is her silver Newport tweed. It is 4 ounces of merino and viscose neps. This is in the colorway Color Tour, and you can see the dark and light neps in there. And then the other one I got is her Newport tweed. So this just has the white neps, and it is in the colorway Green Tea. So picked those up from Fresh Lotus Design, and I will have them linked in the show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. And then finally, my last acquisition came from Shepherd's Harvest this last weekend. And you can't be in front of certain vendors all weekend and not be enticed, let alone they're amazing people and a good friend of yours. So I purchased some yarn. Actually, Andy purchased some yarn from Lavender Loon Yarn Company. There was a wrap there that I was like, I'll knit that. And I was having Sam pick just any color combo or color out of her booth that would work. And I came back and Andy's like, I picked a color that you wouldn't pick. And so I got 3 skeins of, I'm not gonna take it out just because you can see the color there. It's a beautiful purple called Harlow. I got 2 skeins of her glitter fingering, which is a 70% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 10% bronze stellina, and then 1 skein of her slub sock yarn, which is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, 438 yards. And this is going to make the Shoreline shawl, which is a beautiful like garter stitch shawl in the stellina, I believe. And then you pick up around 2 edges and you use the slub to give the border some texture. And so I'm gonna knit that eventually. But thank you to all the vendors that I got to support and everybody who was at all the shows that we were at. I'm so glad to be back at in-person events, and I hope if there is a fiber event in your neck of the woods that you will go out and visit and support small businesses like ours and the ones that I've supported, because we really, a lot of us really do, thrive on that customer interaction as well as in-person events. So that's all the stash enhancement for this episode. All right, let's talk about Center Stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. A reminder, if you're in the area, we do craft nights at our studio located in downtown Clinton, Illinois, right on the square. We have craft nights every Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. and craft afternoons every Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. If you're in the area or would like to drive in and join us for one of those events, please do so. We do always state, if you're going to drive in, especially on a weekend, to check our website or call the studio first to make sure that we are going to be home that weekend, because we do travel a lot, and a good deal of our yarn that's in the studio is gone when we are traveling. I did want to show you a few new things in this shop. First up, I wanted to show you our May colorway of the month. Now, pre-orders are closed, but we do have some dyed up and ready to ship in the shop. The nice thing about the pre-order timeline, which is always the first week of the month, is that during the pre-order timeline, the colorway of the month is on sale for a discounted price. So always keep that in mind. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, you can do so by just going to our website, and within the first couple of seconds, the newsletter pop-up should come up and you can put your email in there. Or if you scroll all the way to the bottom of our website, it says stay in the loop and you can enter your email address there. So our May colorway is called Tutti Frutti. So this is a beautifully subtle speckled dye with peaches and pinks and a little bit of red and some yellow undertones to it. And here it is knit flat on our worsted weight, which is our box office. And then I have a skein of it here on our Dramaturg DK base. Both of these are 100% superwash merino. But I was going to try to show you. Can you see some of the yellows, undertones in there? So that is Tutti Frutti. Available. If it's not already dyed up on the base you want, just place a custom order by filling out the form located at the top of our website. And then some new items that I picked up to show you. When we were in St. Louis, I got to catch up with Casey of Tangerine Designs. She used to be a project bag maker. She does the occasional sewing here or there anymore, but that's not her first and foremost. She's now gotten into engraving and laser cutting, as well as 3D printing. So I shopped her booth for some things for you all. First up, I wanted to show you this knitter's notebook. It has a beautiful yarn ball floral motif engraved on the front. And on the back, it has yarn weights as well as wraps per inch, the Kitchener stitch, and an accurate measuring tape on the side of the notebook. And then it comes with lined pages, including a ribbon bookmark on the inside. So we have a few more of these left. It's in this beautiful faux leather red outer portion. Words are failing me as of right now. We also have several felt yarn notion pouches. So it's got this faux leather medallion in the middle with a skein of yarn engraved on there. We have several different coasters. I think I only have 2 of the knit stitch left. I have 4 crochet stitches. So these are Slate Coasters and they're pretty hefty. They have nice foam feet so they don't bother your surface. And there you go. Inexpensive too. The notebook I believe is 20. The notions pouches are only 10. These are 4 or 5, I think. And then we also have these patches. These are faux leather iron-on patches. We have a couple of different designs. This one says Naughty Knitter. These are just $5. Throw it on something fun. And then we have a few. We have this in pink and white. The Woolly Motel keychain, which is a needle gauge. Comes with a fun little faux suede tassel in a variety of colors. You just kind of get what you get. Those are $10 as well. So you can find all of those things under tools and accessories on our website, which can be found at leadingmenfiberarts.com. If you have not already done so, again, please sign up for our newsletter. That's the best way to stay in touch and up to date about sales, deals, new items, where we're going to be, knit-alongs, all that jazz. We also do have a Ravelry group for Leading Men Fiber Arts, as well as Dramatic Knits video podcast groups. So join both those groups on Ravelry. And we do have a Facebook group for Leading Men Fiber Arts, as well as our Instagram page. If you are local, we do have the Leading Men Local Crafters group on Facebook so that you can stay up to date with events, any cancellations to those events, deals, things going on, things of that nature. So, yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's short, it's sweet, but I'm so glad I was able to check in with you. I hope it won't be too long before I see you again. Based on the fact that I only have a heel to do on that sock, I think it won't be too long. Maybe it'll be next week if I get the gumption to do it. But until I see you again, I hope you make something dramatic.